So now it's time for our first speaker. Stefan is a founder and creator of BioSelf Technology. And so their product Sensate uses infrasound vagal nerve stimulation to improve subjective well-being. And I'll pass it off to you.
Hello, good to be here, dialing in from London, England. So it's late here. So if you want to contact me afterwards, just email me. I probably won't be in the sessions afterwards. I'm a clinician, but I'm now focused entirely on consumer technology because this is the area where I think we can have, and my ideas can have the biggest impact. So New Medicine Group in Harley Street, where I've been for the last 17 years out of the 30 years I've been practicing, is kind of UK's one of the UK's main integrated healthcare practices, and we're interested in complex disease and why some people get better and some people don't. We decided that resilience, somebody's innate resilience, seems to be the factor that determines why some people live longer, get less diseases, and feel happier and better response rates all round. I am now really obsessed with the idea of impact. I think there's lots of things and lots of major problems going on in the world. I believe that we need to have consumer-based technology, as well as some of the amazing research you guys are doing, to have a solution for the general public to be able to go to increase overall well-being. So we're very much of the belief that of the many major problems affecting the world that could have impacts on the world itself and the human population, that the tidal wave really of anxiety that's going on is potentially one of the main ones. All the kind of major global problems are going to require a seed change, a sort of tipping point in human behavior and human thinking to actually put them into practice. And what I've seen in clinic over the last few decades is that a lot of decision making is based on kind of short-term stress-based behavior. And obviously over the last year in particular, that's been more so than ever. So hence the decision to go into a consumer sphere rather than push this technology down a medical route, which takes much longer, costs much more, and will be not available to the public for the foreseeable future. This is the item. It's called Sensate. Obviously, I'm wearing one of them now. It's based on technology, sound-based technology that I've been using in clinic for a long time. And I had a eureka moment while using our own tech where I worked out how we could miniaturize the technology, do something clever with the sound transmission system, and put it into a wearable device using bone conduction. So we've been able to get rid of about 99% of the hardware that we were using in the clinic tech by turning the body into the hardware. That was the kind of eureka moment, really. By using infrasound on the chest, you turn the thoracic cavity into a resonating cell, effectively. So the amount of hardware and the signal level used is a fraction of what we would have been using in clinic. This is we're in an investment round at the moment, so this is really much more of a sort of slightly adapted investor deck. So we're talking about market size rather than cost of stress and anxiety. But the numbers obviously are incredibly significant. The wellness market in general is in the trillions, but the solutions, but also the cost of stress and anxiety, both directly and indirectly, are huge. Few people are unaffected by some form of stress or anxiety. CDC estimates about 75% of doctor visits are to do with a stress or anxiety-based problem. The figures aren't really on here because they're a bit sad, but suicide rates have gone up significantly over the last 12 months. Prescription drug use has gone up significantly over the last 12 months as well. So every time somebody comes in, it goes off my screen. And then, of course, there was a kind of a huge problem going on already. But I think we'd been using activities and methods to kind of get through our working day. And then, of course, COVID happened. And many of the things that people were using in their normal life, going to the gym, going out, socializing, drinking, were basically taken away more or less overnight. And I think what that's revealed is the extent, the tsunami of stress and anxiety-based issues, which are obviously having an effect on diagnosed conditions, but also on many, many conditions that people just live with, things like IBS, migraine, and things that people won't necessarily seek treatment for. The device itself has been out in the field with several thousand users now for just over a year. We've obviously been doing consumer-based research. We're not doing so much neuro research. But we kind of trust our consumers. One of the things I've learned in clinic is, when enough anecdotal evidence suggests that something is beneficial, that you're probably onto something. And the thing that convinced me to really dedicate my time to this was the level, actually, of positive impact that people were reporting to us. The clinical testing we were doing, the New Medicine Group, is a multidisciplinary practice. I was the gatekeeper for that. So I have more experience than most people about seeing what treatments work for which conditions. And what I was seeing when trialing this technology in the clinic is the kind of responses that we were getting were superior to any combination of treatments that I'd previously seen. So it became obvious to me that this is how I could have most impact. In terms of clinical studies, we have done in-clinic stuff, which is how we base the development of the product. And we saw, really quite significant changes in markers. Subjective well-being, which some of you may use, is a well-validated marker for longevity, for instance. If somebody's subjective well-being is a predictor of mortality, of longevity, up to about 96%. And so we were seeing really quite significant shifts in subjective well-being of about 44% over a 1-month period. Heart rate variability is obviously an objective marker. And again, we were seeing significant increases in heart rate variability, and, so much so that we had to retest some people because the results appeared to be almost too significant. So anything up to an average of 86% increase in heart rate variability. What we think underlies all of this is, and this is kind of the neuro bit, is vagal tone. We believe that vagal tone is the most important marker. It's probably the one thing that everybody can improve that will have an impact across all health markers. This is current pilot studies, so we're measuring changes to oxygen saturation and seeing significant changes there. Resting heartbeat, which is again another predictor of lifespan, big changes there. And biological heart age versus actual subject age as well shifts significantly after use. And just to point out as well, these are 10-minute sessions, and we see these kind of results in a single 10-minute session, which then either improves or is maintained over a period of weeks or months. So to be a consumer product, which is our obsession, it's got to work quickly, really quickly. It's got to feel good while you're using it. It's got to be easy to use. The barriers to entry have to be incredibly low. There are kind of other neurotech sort of devices in the space, which are stimulating the vagus nerve or using just sounds, such as Headspace, and a lot of headset devices, which I'm sure you guys are familiar with. But we want something which is pleasant to use and incredibly easy to use through an app. Only had 15 minutes. There you go. Any questions? Either let me know now or you can just email me afterwards.
So we do have one excellent question already from Lisa, and Lisa's asking, what sort of sound do you play?
Yeah, so we orchestrate soundscapes, as we call them, which are a combination of non-audible sound relayed through bone conduction into the chest through the device. These are treated as part of the orchestration, so they are synchronized with sound, the tracks that you select through the app, and plays oral sound through the headphones. So it's a piece of music, some of which you can hear in the normal sense, and some of which you feel. But so the overall end experience is a much more whole body experience that activates the sense of touch, the sense of vibration, because we're tactile, vibratory creatures. It's likely that sense of vibration was the first ever sense before we had eyes and ears. And it's non-verbal because we're appealing to this sort of lower brain function, the kind of autonomic nervous system. It's all about improving autonomic resiliency, stress buffering. And as soon as you get overly verbal, you activate parts of the brain that we're less interested in. We want to activate and improve the vagus nerve tone, the autonomic resiliency, which responds to touch and vibration. So it's a body vibration synchronized with music through the headphones.
Thank you. That was wonderful. We have a lot more questions. I'll ask you one more and then we'll let you run off. One more question is there anything that you were surprised about or any lessons you learned along the way about product development?
Yeah, I mean, hardware, the cliche is hardware is hard. It's a lot less hard than it used to be. If we could have done this using just an app, we certainly would have, because that would have been easier. But actually, what we've discovered is the hardware is essential. You just can't get the physiological change that we get with the system using just sound-based or visual-based material. It's not haptic, by the way. It's complex multi-frequency overlaid resonance in the body through bone conduction. That's what our patent covers, combined and synchronized with the oral content. It's the essential nature of an essential need for hardware was a bit of a surprise. But also, we designed the sessions initially to be a 20-minute experience. That's what we thought would be the minimum threshold. It turns out what we found was that we actually get the same initial impact on biomarkers within 10 minutes. So the use case is 10 minutes once a day.
All right, and we've got one more minute here. I'll just ask you one more question. How long has treatment been tested for?
The initial studies were, the in-clinic studies were 3 years ago. We then spent about 18 months in product development, beta testing in the field. It's been available commercially for just over a year.
Awesome. Thank you very much for coming to talk to us about it today.
You're welcome.
Personally very interested and look forward to seeing how that product progresses.
No, thank you. Keep an eye on it, and I'm available obviously for emails and LinkedIn connections.